Event planners bring people together for a common purpose. They arrange every detail of various events, including weddings, business conferences, government conferences, and conventions. Event planners are in charge of inviting speakers, booking venues, coordinating audio-visual effects, and planning finances. Should you become an event planner in 2020? We're going to help you answer that question by going over the latest salary numbers, the job market, and the latest trends. Coming up. Hey everyone, Stephen Hack here with CareerWatch, where we help you with your career search. If you end up enjoying the video, hit that thumbs up to support the channel. Also, all the graphs and charts for this video are available on my blog, which is at www.careerwatch.co. I'll link a specific link to this particular video in the description below. So first things first, let's go over the salaries of event planners. All this data is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It doesn't include benefits, commissions, and bonuses. In 1999, the average base salary for event planners was recorded at $35,930. By 2019, this average base salary had risen to around $55,000. So this is a wage growth of around $19,000 from 1999 to 2019. Or by year, it would be about almost $1,000 per year for wage growth for event planners. So the estimated 2020 base salary would be around $56,000 per year. Taking that average base salary year over year for event planners, we can actually plot it over the next 10 years. And as you can see, by 2029, the average base salary should rise to around $65,000 per year for event planners. This is just a forecast using the last 20 years of wage data for event planners. So the numbers I just covered are for the average national base salary. So all of the states combined into one pot. Whereas when you break things out by state, the picture looks very differently. The lowest paying state pays on average around $39,000 per year, and the highest paying state on average pays around $69,000 per year. So there's actually a $30,000 difference between the lowest and the highest paying state for event planners. So geography definitely does play a huge role in the compensation for event planners. The highest paying states include the state of New York, with an average base salary of $69,000, New Jersey, District of Columbia, Rhode Island, Washington, Connecticut, and the state of California. Another way to look at the salaries is the average pay by percentile. And this is across the country. This is using national base salaries again. The top 10% of event planners make more than $86,000 per year, whereas a starting salary for an event planner would probably be from the 0th to 25th percentile, so anywhere between, say, $25,000 and up to $37,000 as a starting salary for an event planner. So that is how the salaries break down for event planners. But another thing to really look into is the job market. Is this a growing field or is it a shrinking field? And we can also look at the history of jobs for event planners, and we can look at the forecast, like, is this job going to be growing over the next 10 years? But first, let's look at the history and let's look at the numbers. In 1999, there were 32,820 employed event planners. This grew to 117,610 employed event planners in 2019. And this is massive. Very few occupations have seen this kind of growth over the past 20 years. I mean, the number of jobs almost quadrupled in 20 years. And when you think of it in those terms, that's massive. There's been so much job growth for event planners over the past 20 years. And interestingly, the financial crisis had no impact on the number of jobs for people in this occupation. This would be in the late 2000s and the early 2010s. As you can see, the number of jobs for event planners was still growing by leaps and bounds. And just in the past, I would say 6 years, this growth has been kind of accelerating. I will put a caveat here though. The corona pandemic is currently going on and it is deeply influencing travel industry jobs across the world, not just the United States. We are hearing reports of people in the travel and tourism industry losing their jobs. There was one article saying that 197 million tourism-related jobs could potentially be lost over the next couple of years. So event planners will definitely be affected by this. We just don't know the magnitude of how many will be affected at this time. We will know next year. We will know next year if the number of jobs starts to fall. But it's really interesting that the financial crisis had no influence on the number of jobs for event planners. Another thing we can look at is the forecast. The government is predicting a 7% growth in the number of jobs for event planners over the next 10 years. But keep in mind, this was a pre-pandemic forecast. This forecast occurred way before the coronavirus started to ravage the country and ravage the job market. But if the pandemic didn't occur, this is kind of what the job forecast would look like. In 2019, there's around 117,000 jobs, and by 2029, there would be 126,000 jobs for event planners. Another thing to keep in mind, this is a very regional occupation. Many states have fewer than 100 employed event planners. All the jobs are in just a handful of states. These states include California with 17,000 employed event planners, New York 10,000 employed event planners, Texas 8,000, Florida 7,000, Illinois 4,000, Pennsylvania 4,000, and Virginia around 4,000. This occupation isn't like, say, becoming a registered nurse where you can live in any part of the country that you want. If you're going to become an event planner, you really have to live in certain places of the country. So we went over the salaries of event planners. We also went over the job market for event planners. The next question is, what kind of people actually become event planners? And for this, we can turn to the Holland codes. If you haven't figured out your Holland codes, please do. This is a great assessment to try and figure out what your interests are. And luckily, the Occupational Information Network has the Holland codes of over 1,200 different occupations. So you can take this interest inventory, this interest assessment, and then compare it with this giant database located at ONET. So here are the Holland codes for event planners. Event planners tend to score high in the enterprising and high in the conventional themes. People that score high in the enterprising theme describe themselves as ambitious, competitive, persuasive, assertive, and energetic. Often they are motivated by persuading, selling, and leading other people. People that score high on the conventional theme describe themselves as practical, organized, conscientious, orderly, and careful. They are often motivated by organizing and managing information. There are two occupations that kind of match these Holland codes that people that are interested in event planning should also look into. One is people that work in public relations. I have a video up on this. Feel free to check it out. And the other is travel agents. Travel agents also have very similar Holland codes to event planners, although that is a much more challenging industry to get into. Finally, what kind of education do event planners tend to have? The government did a survey of the education of event planners in 2017, and this is what they found. They found that 2% had less than a high school diploma, 9% had a high school diploma or equivalent, 17% had some college but no degree, 7% had an associate's degree, 51% had a bachelor's degree, 13% had a master's degree, and 1% had a PhD or doctorate. There's also quite a number of certifications that aspiring event planners should look into. There's the Certified Meeting Professional, CMP, offered by the Events Industry Council, and there's another one, the Certified Government Meeting Professional, offered by the Society of Government Meeting Professionals. And basically there's a bunch of different certifications and they're really niched. As you can see, there's pros and cons to becoming an event planner in 2020. There has been explosive job growth over the past 20 years. There's been pretty okay wage growth, about $1,000 per year of wage growth every year for kind of the past 20 years for event planners. The salaries are very different depending on where in the country you would work. And we're still unsure of how the coronavirus pandemic is affecting the number of jobs for event planners. Are you an event planner? What do you enjoy about this occupation and what do you dislike about this occupation? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one.